Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Rachel from Evelyn and Peter, and today I have the Echoes Pullover to share with you all. This is a free pattern on my blog, enpcrochet.com. It includes sizes extra small through 5X. I recommend pulling up that pattern as you follow along with the video tutorial, especially if you're making a different size. You'll want to be able to check your stitch count and your row count and all of the information, so I will link to that in the description. It's also available as a kit with Line Brand. The kit comes with all the yarn you need to make your pullover, plus it comes with a free copy of the printable PDF digital download. You can also customize your yarn color, so I used mandala for this design, and they have lots of pretty mandala color options, so you can swap that out as well. If you're not already subscribed to my newsletter, I recommend doing that, and I let you guys know whenever I have a new tutorial or pattern that is coming out, and then I also let you know in those little newsletters when there is a good sale happening with my Line Brand kits or with any of my crochet patterns. So to subscribe to that, just go to my blog and then pop in your email address, and I send out maybe 1 or 2 emails a month. That way you guys are the first to know about all my new stuff happening. This pattern is also available in my Etsy shop and in my Ravelry shop. So a little bit about this pattern: it is made from the bottom up in separate panels. You can adjust the length for your pullover if you want it longer or shorter. Just add or remove rows in multiples of 2 on the back panel before you fasten off, and then add or remove at the same amount of rows to your front panel just before the neckline shaping begins. And then you can do the same thing for the sleeves. If you want them longer or shorter, just add or remove rows in multiples of 2 before beginning the cuff section of the sleeve. So it's very straightforward. If you've made my Echoes cardigan, then you'll know how to make this pullover. It uses the same stitches, and it is just really fun to make, and I hope you guys like it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next tutorial. So for this design, you are going to need lightweight yarn. I'm using Line Brand's mandala yarn. This is a weight of 3. All of the exact yardage that you need is on my blog for all 9 sizes, so be sure to go check that out. I'm using the color Warlock, and then of course if you get the kit, there's lots of different color options. I'm also going to be using a 5mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a needle to weave in my ends, and then a couple stitch markers as well. So all of our panels are going to start off the exact same way. The only difference is the amount of stitches that you're going to need, depending on whether you're making the back panel, the front panel, or the sleeves. And then of course each size will have a different amount of stitches as well. So we're going to start off by working a foundation single crochet row. So you're just going to create your slip stitch and then work 2 chains. Now if you want, you could keep going and just make 1 long chain for your first row and then work a single crochet in the second chain from the hook and back across for the correct stitch count. If you do not know how to do a foundation row, that's always an option. I'm going to show you the foundation row here. So in the back bump of that first chain that you made, you're going to insert your hook, and then just yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through the first loop only, and then yarn over, pull through both loops, and that is 1 foundation single crochet stitch. Now again, on the bottom of that stitch that you just made, insert your hook under both of the loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first loop only, and then yarn over, pull through 2, and that is our second foundation single crochet stitch. Now again, on the bottom of that previous stitch, insert your hook under both of the loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the first loop only, and yarn over, pull through 2. And now you're just going to keep doing this until you have the correct amount of stitches for your size for the back panel. And then again, if you would rather do a chain, just chain 1 more stitch than your stitch count in row 1, chain an extra stitch, work a single crochet in the second chain from the hook and across for the correct stitch count. Okay, so now we are at the end of row 1. I just have my long row of single crochet stitches here, and now we are going to chain 3 and turn our work. So this chain 3 does count as a stitch here, so the chain 3 at the beginning of the row will count as a double crochet. And now we need to make 3 more double crochet into the same stitch. So yarn over and insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and you're going to do that a total of 3 times. Again, this is all into the same stitch, the very first single crochet from the row below. So now we have a chain 3 and then 3 double crochet, and we are going to be skipping over the next 3 stitches. So skip over 3, and then in the following work a single crochet stitch. You can see it'll kind of pull our stitches to the left here. That's what we want. After you work your single crochet, you can chain 3. Now the chain 3s within the rows, you're not going to count them individually for your stitch count. You can just count the single crochet here as your stitch. So this whole section pretty much is counted as 1 stitch. And then you're going to work 3 double crochet all into that same spot as the single crochet. So we skipped 3, we worked a single crochet, we chained 3, and then we work 3 double crochet all into the same stitch. And that's what we're going to be repeating across the row. And each of those little sets is 4 stitches all together, so that's an easy way to count across. So again, skip over 3 stitches, single crochet into the next, and then chain 3, and then work 3 double crochet all into the same spot. So go ahead and just repeat this all the way across the row. Skip 3, 1 single crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet all into the same. And I will meet you at the end of the row to show you how to finish it. So now we're coming up to the end of row 2 here. I have 4 stitches left. I'm going to skip 3 and then work a single crochet in the final stitch. Now for row 3, we're going to chain 4 and turn our work. This chain 4 does count as 1 double crochet and 1 chain space, so just remember that for later on. And we're going to work our special stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook into the first double crochet of that set of 3. Yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, insert your hook into that second stitch of the set of 3 of double crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, and in that same center double crochet, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And then we're going to do 1 more into that last double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. You'll have 5 loops on your hook, and just yarn over and pull through all 5. And then we have to remember after we do our special stitch to work a chain 1. And then in the chain 3 space right next to us here, we're going to be working a single crochet. So you don't need to work it into the actual chain stitch, just put it in the space and work a single crochet stitch. And then again, chain 1. And now we're going to be doing that all the way across the row. So yarn over, in that first double crochet of the set of 3, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, insert your hook into the second double crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, insert your hook into that same center double crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And finally, yarn over, insert your hook into that last double crochet, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through all 5 loops on your hook. And then again, chain 1, and then work a single crochet into the chain 3 space, and then chain 1 again. So you can just go ahead and continue repeating that across the row, starting with the special stitch, and then chain 1, then single crochet, and then chain 1. So feel free to go back and re-watch the special stitch as many times as needed, but once you get it down, it is very simple, and you just repeat that all the way across, and I will meet you at the end of the row. Okay, we're coming up on the end of row 3 here. I still have 4 stitches remaining. I just did a special, a chain 1, a single crochet, and a chain 1. So I still have one more set of the 3 double crochet. So I'm going to do my last special stitch, working over those 3 double crochet stitches. And then we have to complete the row. So to do that, we're just going to make sure we do our chain 1 after the special stitch, and then locate the chain 3 from the start of the previous row. And in that top chain of the chain 3, just insert your hook into it and work a single crochet to complete the row. So that completes row 3, and our stitch count will stay the same. Now we are going to be doing row 4, which is basically the same thing as row 2. It's just going to be worded and worked just slightly different since you're working it into a special stitch row instead of the foundation row. So I'm going to show you that really quick. So again, for row 4, just go ahead and chain 3. That still counts as our first double crochet stitch. And then work 3 double crochet stitches all into that same stitch. So chain 3, 3 double crochet, and then again we're going to skip over 3 stitches. This time you're skipping over the chains and the special stitch, and then in the next single crochet is where you're going to be working your single crochet stitch. So single crochet into it, chain 3, and then 3 double crochet all into the same spot. So you can see it's the same thing, we're just working into the special stitch row here. So you can just repeat that all the way across the row, skip over 3, find that next single crochet stitch, work a single crochet into it, chain 3, 3 double crochet, and I will meet you at the end of the row to show you how to complete it. Okay, we are coming up on the end of row 4 here. So I have 4 stitches remaining. The chain 4 again counts as a double crochet plus a chain 1 space. So don't forget that. And then you have the top of the special stitch plus the chain 1. So after you work your last set of 3 double crochet stitches, you're going to locate the 3rd chain of the starting chain 4. So don't work into the top chain, but find the 3rd chain up and work your final single crochet into it. And then that completes row 4. Your stitch count stays the same. And now for the remainder of the back panel, you're just going to be repeating rows 3 and 4 over and over again until you have the right amount of rows for your size. So our next row will be a special stitch row, which is a row 3 repeat, and then the row after that will be just a double crochet row, which is a row 4 repeat. So go ahead and repeat rows 3 and 4, and I will meet you at the end of the back panel. Okay, so once you have completed the back panel, again, every size will have a different row count. I made the size small and I have 45 rows total, but again, you can add and remove rows in multiples of 2 to adjust that length if you want it longer or shorter. And then you need to go back and remake the same exact thing for a second time to start the front panel, but you're just not going to do as many rows. We're going to stop before we reach all of the total rows and start the neckline shaping and decreasing. So just make sure that you have that written pattern pulled up so you know how many rows you need to make before you begin the first shoulder. So I have completed the amount I need for my size, and now I'm going to be working the first shoulder of the front panel. I have a couple stitch markers here, and I placed the one on the right on the 41st stitch, and then I counted in from left to right for the second one and placed it on the 41st stitch as well. And then I have 7 stitches unworked in between. You don't have to place the stitch markers. I just thought it would be a good visual for you guys. But again, your stitch count will be different depending on the size you're making.
but the written pattern has the correct amount of stitches you need, and it just starts off as a regular row repeat with the 3 double crochet. So I'm going to work my way across into our regular stitch repeat, and then I'm going to work my 41st stitch here by working a single crochet into the single crochet that I had marked off. But it's just a regular stitch repeat across, and then I have skipped 3 and then finished with 1 single crochet in the next stitch to finish the row. The remainder of the stitches are going to be left unworked, and then you can chain 4 and turn your work. And for this next row here, it's exactly the same as you've been doing. Chain 4, work your special stitch, and then continue with the normal stitch repeat across the row. So now our stitch count for that first decrease row was 41 for the size small, and this one will stay the same as well with the same stitch count, working our way all the way to the end. When you get to the end, go ahead and chain 3, turn your work, and work your way back for the third row of the decreasing here. When you get to the end, we're going to leave 4 stitches left unworked. So we worked our single crochet into that last single crochet, and then you still have a chain 1, a special stitch, and the chain 4, which counts as 2 stitches. Leave those unworked. Go ahead and chain 4 and turn your work, and we are just repeating those last 2 rows that I just showed you for the remainder of this shoulder of the panel. So you'll work your special stitch for this row all the way across. When you get to the end, you can chain 3, turn your work, and then work your double crochet row back down here to the end, but you'll finish here in this single crochet, and you'll leave 4 stitches remaining, just as I did in the previous 2 rows here. So go ahead and repeat those last 2 rows until you have the correct amount of rows for your size. So this is what it will look like when you are done. Leave a tail long enough to sew this last row to your back panel, and then we need to do the same thing on the other side as well. So I have my stitch marker here. Don't worry if you didn't put one in. You just want to count in the same amount of stitches that you have on the first shoulder and join in with the slip stitch. So for the size small, it was 41 stitches. So you want to locate that 41st stitch, counting in from left to right, and then insert your hook to that stitch and slip stitch to join. Now all of the sizes will have 7 unworked stitches in between, so that's another way you can make sure that you are joining in the correct spot. You'll have 7 stitches in between on the neckline here left unworked. So once you join in, you can chain 1, work a single crochet, and now we're just going to go right into the normal stitch repeat for the remainder of the row here. So chain 3 and then work 3 double crochet all into the same spot. And then again, just skip over the next 3 stitches, work 1 single crochet into the next single crochet stitch, and then chain 3, 3 double crochet all into that same stitch. So we're doing just as you would finish any other row. Do that all the way across this one. When you get to the end of the row, go ahead and chain 4 and turn your work, and then start working your special stitch row back down to where we joined in here. So get to the end, chain 4, turn, and I will meet you down here at the end of the second shaping row. So I'm at the end here. I've done my chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, and I still have to work 1 more special stitch into the last set of the 3 double crochet that we have. So I'm going to do that. And then don't forget to chain 1 after. And then of course locate that top of the chain 3 and work a single crochet to finish off the row. So now we have 2 of our shaping rows here. You're going to turn your work, and now this one's going to be slightly different because we want it to match our first shoulder that we have over here and give the same little scalloped wavy look. So slip stitch into the very first stitch, slip stitch into the second stitch, which is the chain 1 from below, slip stitch into the top of the special stitch, and then one more slip stitch into the next chain 1. So we have a total of 4 slip stitches here. Just like how we left 4 stitches remaining on that first side, we're slip stitching over 4 times. Work a single crochet into the next stitch, chain 3, and work 3 double crochet all into the same spot. So now it's going to mirror and look the same as the other side because we slip stitched over 4 and then we just go right back into our regular stitch repeat. So we worked our 4 slip stitch, single crochet into the next, chain 3, 3 double crochet, and then go ahead with your regular stitch repeat all the way to the end, and then chain 4 and turn your work and work your way back. And then I'll show you one more time how to finish off the row. So I have my single crochet and my chain 1 done, and I have to work one more special stitch into the last set of the 3 double crochet, chain 1, and finish with a single crochet into the top of the chain 3. And these are the 2 rows that we're just going to continue to repeat, so you can go back and re-watch if you need to. But again, you just turn and then work a slip stitch into the first 4 stitches. So there's 1 and 2, 3, and then 1 more, so 4 slip stitches, and then we go right back into our normal stitch repeat, single crochet into the next stitch, work your chain 3, and then 3 double crochet all into the same. So you're going to have the same amount of rows on this side that you do on the first side, and then go ahead and just repeat the 2 rows that I've shown you until you have the same amount as the first side and the amount of rows that it calls for your size that you're making. Go ahead and fasten off and leave a long tail to seam both shoulders to the back panel. And now we need to make the sleeves. So I already have most of my sleeves complete here, and all you need to do is go back if you need to rewatch to see how to start off a sleeve panel. It starts the same way as the back and the front. I'm sure you have it figured out by now and you won't need to do that. So the only difference is the stitch count for your size for the sleeves. So make sure you check the written pattern and make the correct amount of single crochet stitches that you need for your size. Work your foundation row, and then just go ahead and do the normal row and stitch repeats until you have the correct amount of rows for your sleeve. And now I'm going to show you how to create the cuff. So I have 1 sleeve complete here, and then I have my second sleeve almost finished, but we need to do some decreasing at the wrist area. So make sure you have that written pattern pulled up and the correct amount of rows for your size. And now I will begin the first row of the shaping of the cuff. Also, if you need to add or remove rows here to lengthen or shorten your sleeve, you can do that as well. Just add in multiples of 2. This is a drop shoulder oversized pullover. So the bigger size that you're making, the shorter the sleeves will be. But I understand everyone likes different length sleeves or maybe has slightly longer or shorter arms. So go ahead and make those adjustments if you need to before you begin the cuff section here. So now we're going to start the cuff section. I've chained 1, and in that very first stitch, I'm just working a single crochet, and I'm going to do the same thing in each stitch all the way across the row. So a single crochet into the next, and a single crochet into the next, just working normal single crochet stitches. You might have to wiggle your hook a little bit in the chain 1s because they'll probably be slightly tighter, but just work normal single crochets all the way across the row. Okay, so I'm coming up on the end of the row here. Don't forget to work a single crochet in the top of the chain 4 plus a single crochet into the 3rd chain of the chain 4 so that you keep the correct stitch count, because that chain 4 counts as a double crochet and a chain 1 space. So just make sure you don't forget to do that. And then now we can go ahead and chain 1 and turn our work to begin the next row of the cuff. So for this row, we're just going to be decreasing all the way across, working single crochet 2 together. So very simple, insert your hook into the first stitch of the row. Make sure you do your chain 1 and then insert your hook into that first stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. And then insert your hook into the very next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. And then yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. That is 1 single crochet 2 together. You're just going to repeat that all the way across the row for this row. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. Insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. I will meet you at the end of the row to show you how to finish it. Okay, when you get to the end of the row here, you'll have 1 stitch remaining. Just work a normal single crochet into that final stitch, and then go ahead and chain 1 and turn your work. And then again, for this row, we're just going to work a single crochet in each stitch all the way across. So in that very first stitch, work a single crochet, and then do the same thing in all of the remaining stitches across the row. When you get to the end of the row, you can go ahead and chain 2 and turn your work, and now we have our final row of the cuff here. So for this one, we're just going to work 1 half double crochet into each stitch across. So yarn over, insert your hook into that first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. So that is 1 half double crochet, and you're just going to do that in every one of the stitches to the end of the row. When you get to the end, you can go ahead and fasten off. You'll want to leave a longer tail here, long enough to seam from the wrist up to the underarm area of the sweater. And then you might even want to leave it long enough to go from your underarm down the side of your pullover as well, so that you can have the minimal amount of ends to weave in. So just leave a nice long tail to do so. And then you need to go back and rework the same exact thing for a second time to make a second sleeve. Once you have all 4 panels complete, we now need to seam all of them together. So you can take your back panel, place it out in front of you, right side facing up, and then place your front panel on top, right side facing down. So we have our right sides facing, and now we need to seam the 2 shoulders together. And then the right sides are the sides that your special stitches are popping out towards. So that's the side that you want facing out for everyone to see. So we're going to do the seam hidden on the inside. So you can do whatever method you prefer here for seaming. There's no right or wrong way. This is personal preference. Just make sure when you start the seaming on the end that you're starting in the correct spot. You don't want to forget that chain 4 on the one side counts as 2 stitches, so you'll want to start seaming in the 3rd chain so that it matches up correctly as you go across. And then just make sure you're keeping your stitches even as you go, and then you can use your needle and use whichever sewing method you prefer, and then go and do the same thing on the other side as well. So I'm just going to do the mattress stitch and use my needle. Again, you can do whichever method you prefer doing for your sewing. So go ahead and work the first side and then go and work the second side the same way. And then we're going to take our sleeves and join those in the same way as well. Okay, so I have my front and back panel joined together, and now I'm going to take my sleeve and I'm going to line it up, find the center of the sleeve panel, and just use a stitch marker and join it in place right at the shoulder seam. That way I have the same amount of stitches on the back panel side that I do the front panel side, so that when we sew our sleeve on, it is all nice and even. If you want, you can take another stitch marker and place it on the end. I like to count down how many rows on the back panel and how many rows on the front panel that it is where I'm going to be sewing. That way I know it's all nice and even. That's the most important thing, is just make sure it's evenly placed. So you want to pull your sleeve a little bit taut so that it's not wrinkled or anything. You want to make sure it's pulled out enough when you join in your stitch markers, and then sew across. Do the same thing on the other side, and then you have to sew the sleeve and the side of your sweater together as well. So you can take the tail of yarn from the cuff and just sew up the side to the underarm, and then down the underarm to the bottom of the pullover, and then go ahead and repeat that same thing on the other side. And finally, we just need to add 1 round of trim to the neckline. So I have my sweater right side out, and our goal here is to keep the wavy scalloped look to the neckline and not have it blend in. And we're just going to work 1 round just so that it looks nice and finished. So with your sweater right side out, you can join in with this slip stitch to the stitch just to the left of the shoulder seam. Chain 1, and then work single crochet stitches in each stitch along the back neckline here. So just work 1 stitch into each across the back. When you reach the first shoulder of the front panel, you're just going to continue working single crochet stitches. You'll work about 3 single crochet stitches, and then when you hit the row where we left the 4 stitches unworked, you can kind of rotate your work slightly and work 1 single crochet into each of those 4 stitches. So it really doesn't matter your placement when you're working it into the end of the row. Just try and make sure that you have an even amount on both sides. But I like to work it in the stitch itself when I'm working into the 4 that we skipped in the shaping rows. So you can see I put 1 into the chain 4 and then another 1 into that 3rd chain to help give it a little bit more distinct scalloped look. We don't want it to blend in, and then you can just work a couple of stitches down the chain on the side of the row there, and then we'll do the same thing here. So I worked about 3 stitches, and then I'm back to the 4 that we left unworked. So I'm going to work 1 stitch into each of those, and I'm just going to do that down that first side of the neckline here. And then when you get to the bottom of the neckline where we have those 7 unworked stitches, just work 1 single crochet into each of them, and then do the same thing up the other side of the front panel, working your 4 single crochet into the slip stitches that we had. When you reach back around to the beginning, slip stitch to the first single crochet to join and go ahead and fasten off. And then that is it for this tutorial. All you have left is to weave in any remaining ends. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.